The stars above Kaiden's shuttle burned like frozen fire, and his heart thumped like a war drum as he stared out the window. Earth was behind him now. He didn't want to leave, but the government had decided it was safer for teens with mixed diplomatic families to relocate to neutral planets. His father had married a trail woman, an alien species with shimmering carapace skin, tall figures, and glowing green eyes. Kaiden had never met her, or the alien stepsister who waited on the jungle planet Trellis 4. The ship broke through the atmosphere with a bone-shaking hum. Below, the planet looked like a green ocean made of trees. Giant flowers pulsed open, like breathing hearts, and strange creatures flew in spirals through the clouds. Kaiden tightened his grip on the harness. Even if this was peaceful territory now, the galaxy didn't feel safe anymore. War between alien empires was brewing just beneath the surface. When the shuttle landed, his stepmother wasn't there. Instead, a girl stood beside a four-legged transport skimmer, arms crossed. She was tall, lean, and wore thin armor made of woven metal leaf. Her silver antennae twitched slightly as she looked at him with cold curiosity. Kaiden could tell immediately this wasn't his stepsister. She was someone else, someone sharper, someone dangerous. "You're the human," she said, her voice like a blade wrapped in silk. "Lasari said you were soft. You don't look soft, just small." Kaiden blinked, unsure how to respond. Before he could speak, another figure stepped from the shadows of the trees. This one had glowing violet eyes and wore a simpler robe. "I am Lasari," she said with a smile. "And this is Vera, my closest friend. She volunteered to come meet you with me." We didn't expect a war to start today. Kaiden's blood ran cold. War? A loud rumble filled the air. The ground shook beneath their feet as violet bolts of light slashed through the sky. A distant city dome cracked under orbital fire. Emergency sirens wailed from the skies, and flocks of alien birds screamed as they scattered into the forest. Vira drew a blade from her back, long and curved like a fang. "We need to move now." That was the first strike. Kaiden's head spun. "I just got here. Where's my father? Where's your mother?" Lasari was already pulling a hoverpack from the skimmer. "Split up across the district. Standard evacuation. We were to meet at the coastal ridge in 3 days if anything went wrong." Vera threw a smaller pack at Kaiden. "If you want to live, follow me." They abandoned the skimmer and ran into the wilds. The trees were alive literally. Some moved out of the way. Others released spores when touched. It was a place that felt half dream, half nightmare. After an hour of running, climbing, and near misses with falling debris from a burning satellite, Vera led them to a crack in the side of a cliff. "In here, ancestral ruins. They don't scan inside sacred stone." Kaiden stepped into the cavern. Breathless and shaking, the place was enormous. Crystal vines covered the walls, and the floor pulsed with dim blue light. At the center sat an altar and a long sleeping mat of silk leaf fiber, already dusted but preserved. "We'll be safe here," Vera said, placing her hand on the altar. The room responded, humming softly. "The Guardian is active. We are recognized." As they settled in, Kaiden finally caught his breath. "What even is this place?" Vera turned, looking at him with unreadable eyes. "This was once the last sanctuary of my bloodline. It was built for times of war, when only trust, heat, and survival kept people alive." Kaiden frowned. "Heat?" Lasari giggled softly, then looked serious. "There is a tradition in Vera's line. If you shelter here during conflict, it is expected you sleep close, very close." Kaiden stared at them both. "Wait, what?" Vera tilted her head. "It's ancient law. Those who share the chamber during wartime must share warmth, skin to skin. It's how the Guardian confirms trust." Kaiden looked at the massive mat on the floor, and then back at her. "That can't be real," Lasari simply shrugged. "The Guardian doesn't respond if the tradition is broken. If that happens, It might seal the chamber or worse. The altar flashed once, as if agreeing. As night fell, Vera unstrapped her light armor and lay on one side of the mat. Lissari curled near the edge. Caden stood awkwardly, holding his pack, unsure of where to go. "If you freeze, it's your own fault," Vera said flatly. "But I suggest you sleep close, human. This place respects old laws." Caden slowly lowered himself to the mat, tension in every muscle. The chamber warmed. The crystals above glowed. A softer hue. The guardian hummed like a lullaby. In the silence, Caden realized how insane everything was 1 day ago. He was on Earth. Now he was sharing ancient alien bedding with his stepsister and her warrior friend, hiding from a war he didn't even understand. But the real mystery wasn't the war outside. It was the tradition that had just begun. Caden didn't sleep much. His body was on the mat, but his mind raced through every second. Vera lay beside him, her breathing steady and calm. Lissari snored softly near the edge. Though no one touched him, he felt the weight of Vera's presence. Like a silent fire. He wasn't used to anyone being that close, let alone an alien warrior girl who seemed to trust ancient laws more than her own instincts. By morning, the guardian lit up the walls with warm golden light. The air smelled like crushed leaves and some sweet floral steam from a vent in the stone. Caden sat up, rubbing his eyes. Vera was already awake, kneeling in front of the altar and whispering in her native tongue. Her armor was back on, and her expression was unreadable. Caden didn't interrupt. She looked like someone talking to ghosts. When Vera finally turned, her gaze landed right on him. "You moved little. The guardian accepts your presence." Caden blinked. "Is that a good thing?" Lissari yawned and stretched behind him. "It means you weren't lying about your fear. The guardian hates liars." Caden wasn't sure if he should be flattered or offended, so he just nodded. "What now?" Vera stood up slowly. "Now we follow tradition. You continue the pact." They left the chamber and moved deeper into the underground structure. The ruins were massive, filled with broken statues, mosaic murals, and strange organic machines built into the walls. Vera explained that the deeper levels offered food synthesizers, filtered water, and a watchroom. But the deeper they went, the more symbols began to glow in response to Kaiden's steps. At one point, he passed through an archway and the entire wall pulsed red, then green. Vera raised a brow. "It recognized your steps." Lissari leaned closer to the wall and squinted. "This hasn't responded to trail blood in centuries. Why does it glow for you?" Caden shrugged. "I'm just walking." Vera stared at him for a long moment before saying, "Perhaps the guardian sees something in you. That is rare." They reached the watchroom. It displayed a massive image of the jungle above them, drawn with lines of light across the crystal wall. Vera touched a glyph, and red dots appeared on the outer edges. "Enemy patrols. They are closing in. No more than 2 days until they reach this valley." Caden felt his heart thump. "Then we can't stay here," Lissari frowned. "We don't have a choice. You saw what happens when you leave." They debated their options but realized moving now would only expose them. Vera returned to the chamber that night and placed her blade near the sleeping mat. "We continue the pact. The guardian listens to silence and warmth. That is our best shield." Caden hesitated. "So this sharing, how long does it have to go on?" Vera looked at him calmly. "Until the danger passes, or until the bond is complete." Caden didn't ask what complete meant. He just laid down, back to back with Vera, closer this time. The chamber again responded with gentle warmth and the hum of safety. As Caden drifted off, he whispered, "Is this really tradition, or just something you made up?" Vera didn't answer right away. But before sleep claimed him, he heard her voice, soft and almost shy. "It is both. Some traditions are old, some are chosen." The next day, The patrol drones came closer. Vera led them out through a side path, into the jungle to scout ahead. Caden followed with a silent weapon. She gave him an electro-pulse rod. They moved carefully across tree roots and over thick vines until they found a downed enemy drone half buried in moss. Caden approached. It opened its panel using an old earth tool from his pocket knife. "What are you doing?" Vera asked, checking its memory. Caden replied, "If I can find what it saw, we'll know what they're looking for." It took him 5 minutes. When the screen flickered, it showed an image of the ruins and their sleeping chamber. Caden's blood froze. They've already marked the site. They're coming straight for it. Vera's jaw tightened. Then the pact will mean nothing if we die. We must prepare. Back at the ruins, they began laying simple traps using vines, broken drone parts, and energy emitters. Caden remembered training simulations back on Earth, and Vera followed his instructions without question. Lasari managed to reroute the Guardian's energy into a defense mode, one that could briefly shield the outer gate. That night, Caden couldn't rest. He sat upright, watching Vera sharpen her blade. "Why do you follow the old traditions so seriously?" he asked. "Because they protect what matters," Vera replied. "And because I saw your name in the list years ago. Your face, your father's. Blood. The Guardian predicted someone like you. Maybe not in detail, but enough to make me hope." Caden was silent, trying to understand what that meant. As he finally lay back down, Vera moved closer than before, their shoulders touching. "This is the second night," she whispered. "And the bond grows stronger." Caden didn't reply. But this time, he didn't shy away. He stared at the glowing ceiling and wondered what kind of tradition this truly was, and how much of it he was becoming part of. Caden woke before the others, but it wasn't peace that stirred him. The chamber air had changed. It was colder. The soft hum of the Guardian had stopped. For 2 nights it had warmed them, watched over them, and kept the jungle's threats away. But now the silence felt wrong, as if something outside had changed the rhythm of the ruins themselves. Vera sensed it too. She stood slowly and touched the altar. No glow, no response. Lasari frowned, rubbing her arms. "It's like the Guardian is sleeping." Vera said nothing, only tightened her belt and picked up her blade. "That means we are exposed." Caden sat up, still blinking sleep from his eyes. "You think something's already here?" Vera nodded. "Not here yet, but near enough to make the Guardian fear." They didn't speak again until they reached the upper hallway near the moss-covered gate that led into the jungle. There, they found claw marks on the walls, long, burned, and fresh. Not from a drone, not even from a soldier. "It's a tracker," Vera whispered. "A living one. Genetically enhanced for heat and heartbeats. They send these to find hidden survivors." Caden swallowed hard. "Can we stop it?" Vera looked at him and said, "Not if it finds us first." They went back down and prepared for battle. Caden, though still learning how to use Vera's weapons, remembered tricks from Earth School, how to lure, distract, and corner. They set traps using leftover drone energy cells, root-lined tripwires, and a pressure panel under a fallen slab. Vera coached him through each step, silent but impressed. She hadn't expected a human to adapt this fast. When it came, it moved like smoke and muscle, with 4 legs and a mask that hissed steam. The tracker beast sniffed the air, its glowing eyes narrowing as it stalked the ruins. But Caden was ready. He waited until it passed over the trap, then slammed the pulse detonator. The explosion threw the beast into the wall, and Lasari activated the Guardian's manual override. Energy bolts rained down like a storm. The creature roared, blood darkening the floor, but it wasn't dead. Vera leaped forward, blade flashing. She struck twice, once at the neck and once under the joint of its spine. The beast collapsed at her feet, twitching. Caden stared, breath caught in his throat. Vera stood tall, chest heaving, eyes still. locked on the dying thing. It won't call for help now, she said. That night, the chamber glowed again, faintly, as if the guardian approved of the kill but hadn't fully returned. Caden sat near the altar, staring at his blood-stained gloves. I thought I'd be more scared, he said quietly. Vera sat beside him, her shoulder touching his. You are changing. Lasari, sitting by the wall, smiled. Tradition changes us. That's why we follow it. They slept close again. This time, Vera placed her hand on Kaiden's chest, just above his heart. For the guardian to hear our bond, she said softly. So it knows we trust each other enough to survive together. Caden nodded slowly and let her hand stay. There, her touch wasn't cold anymore. It was firm, warm, and steady. By morning, the guardian gave them a gift. In the center of the chamber, a circle of light appeared. Within it, supplies materialized: food rations, medical packs, and a relic staff marked with Vera's family crest. Lasari gasped. It thinks you are worthy now. It gives relics only when the pact is strong. Caden raised an eyebrow. What happens when the bond reaches its end? Vera looked at him for a long time. Then we no longer need the guardian. We become enough. They spent the day building new defenses, deeper within the ruins. Vera trained Caden with the relic staff, teaching him strikes, footwork, and rhythm. She was strict but patient. When he got something right, she touched his wrist and said, "Good." Each time, the word felt heavier, like it meant more than it sounded. Later, they explored the lower levels. There, they found old data slabs written in Trill script. Lasari translated the parts she could. One slab described the time when human visitors came centuries ago, before the Empire fell. It mentioned a prophecy, a warm-blooded outsider who would bond in time of ruin and awaken the sanctuary. Caden felt chills. Vera read the lines silently, then looked at him. You were never random, she said. That night, the air was heavy with silence. They didn't talk much. But when Vera lay beside him, she didn't just rest her hand on his chest, she laced her fingers with his. Caden didn't pull away. His stepsister, watching from the other side of the room, said nothing. She only closed her eyes with a soft smile. The bond wasn't just survival anymore. It was something deeper. And the guardian glowed brighter than it ever had. Asterisk, for the first time since Caden had landed on the planet, the ruins felt like a home. The fear outside was still real. Enemy scouts still searched for survivors. The war still burned in orbit above them. But inside the glowing chamber, wrapped in Vera's quiet strength and Lasari's soft laughter, Caden didn't feel lost anymore. He spent each day training with the relic staff. Vera taught him how to balance, how to strike, and how to breathe with focus. He wasn't strong like her, but he was fast, precise, and his human instincts, shaped by Earth's unpredictability, made him hard to read. Vera no longer held back. When they sparred, every match ended with them laughing, bruised and closer than before. Lasari, meanwhile, studied the old texts. She spent hours in the lower ruins, copying prophecies, unlocking forgotten doors, and translating strange scripts. One morning, she called them both to a mural deep within the sanctuary. Look, she said, pointing to the faded image. It showed a figure with Kaiden's frame, standing beside a trail warrior woman, holding hands beneath a sun that looked like Earth's. Caden stepped closer, his voice quiet. That's impossible, Lasari smiled. Prophecies never care about what's possible. They care about what must be. Vera stared at the image in silence. This place accepted you not because of chance, because of design. Caden touched the stone. It felt warm under his hand, alive. Then why me? He asked. Vera said simply, because you chose not to run. But peace never lasted long. That night, a signal crackled through the ruins' device. Static first, then a half-broken voice. Troll unit. Eastern Ridge, need evac, hostiles, down shuttle. Caden and Vera shared a look. That's near the coastal route, Vera said. It could be your father, Lisari added, or another survivor. Caden didn't hesitate. Then we go, we can't leave them. They packed quickly. Vera gave Caden the relic staff, and Lisari rigged a stealth pack to mask their heat signatures. They left the chamber quietly, sealing it behind them with the Guardian's approval. The jungle outside was darker than before. The air was thick with smoke and tension. The forest no longer whispered. It listened. Halfway to the signal's origin, they heard movement. Vera signaled silence and crouched low. Through the leaves, they saw 2 enemy scouts, not drones, but living soldiers with armor like bone and long rifles slung over their backs. Caden raised the staff, ready to strike, but Vera stopped him. Not yet. Let them pass. The soldiers moved away, their heads turning side to side. Searching. Smelling. Once clear, the trio pushed forward and found the wreckage of a trail shuttle buried in the mud. A wounded soldier lay beside it, breathing hard. His chest armor was cracked. "Guardian, protect us," he whispered. Vera knelt beside him. "We're here now." But before she could lift him, the soldier's eyes widened. Trap, they followed. From the trees, 3 enemy warriors emerged. There was no time to think. Caden charged forward, swinging the relic staff. It glowed as it moved, striking with a force that shocked even him. The first enemy fell, dazed. Vera engaged the second with her blade, dancing between its claws. Lisari used a hidden pulse device to blind the third. Caden took a hard hit to the ribs but didn't fall. He stood his ground. When it was over, 2 enemies lay dead. One fled into the trees, bleeding. The wounded trail soldier had passed out but still breathed. Vera touched Caden's shoulder, her voice firm. "You fought like one of us." He tried to smile through the pain. "I fight for who I sleep beside." Vera blinked once, then let out a rare laugh. "Then you're bonded deeper than you think." They carried the soldier back through a hidden trail, avoiding the main path. When they finally reached the ruins again, the Guardian opened the door for them without command. Inside, the lights glowed in gold and silver. The bond had changed something in the ruins. And in them, that night, Caden collapsed into the mat, exhausted. Vera sat beside him, wiping blood from his cheek. "You risked everything for a stranger." Caden shook his head. "No, I risked it for what I believe in." "That's the human part." Vera leaned closer. "And the part that shares warmth?" Caden met her eyes. "That's becoming something else." Without a word, Vera lay beside him, not just for warmth, but something more. She didn't just place her hand on his chest this time. She rested her head there. Lisari didn't look away. She smiled and returned to her place near the altar, humming an old trail tune under her breath. Whatever war was coming, whatever path fate had prepared, Caden knew one thing now. He wasn't just surviving on this alien world anymore. He was becoming part of its heartbeat. The wounded soldier didn't wake up for 2 days. Lisari gave him root water and crushed crystal leaf extract, while Vera stood watch beside him. Caden helped patch his armor using salvage from the down shuttle. The chamber stayed calm during the day, but each night the Guardian lights dimmed, as if sensing something dark moving closer from the outside. Caden could feel it too. A tension in the air, like the ruins were holding their breath. Even the vines on the walls stopped moving. On the 3rd night, he spoke with Vera beside the sleeping mat. "What happens when the war ends?" he asked. "Do you go back to being a warrior, to your clan?" Vera didn't look away. "If I survive, I go back changed. The Guardian marked me, and it marked you." Lisari joined them near the altar. Her hands glowed from another scroll she had unlocked. "I think I found the answer to the bond," she said. "It doesn't just protect, It transforms. Two souls, linked by crisis, can shift the Guardian's power into something stronger. Caden frowned. Stronger how? Lissari hesitated. It doesn't say. But it warns. If the bond is broken too soon, the Guardian will fall silent forever. The next morning, the wounded soldier finally spoke. His name was Tellez. He was part of a recon team meant to retrieve lost data from the ruins before the enemy claimed them. His squad was ambushed. He was the last one alive. The data you seek, Vera said, is already awake. It's in the walls now. In us. Tellez looked at Caden. Then the outsider is the key. Caden didn't know what to say. Tellez was too weak to travel, so the group decided to wait 3 more days for his strength to return. In that time, Caden and Vera grew even closer. They trained every morning, spoke for hours near the heat vents, and slept together on the mat each night with no more awkwardness. The Guardian glowed a deep orange now, like a sunrise sealed in stone. On the second night, Caden dreamed of the mural Lissari had shown them. But this time it moved. The stone figure that looked like him raised a glowing relic staff and stood beside the warrior woman Vira's image, clear as day. Behind them, a storm of stars burned bright, and something large and dark moved through. Caden woke with sweat on his back and Vira's hand gripping his. He looked at her. I think something's coming. She nodded once. I felt it too. That morning, the outer alarms triggered. The Guardian flashed yellow across the walls. From the watchroom, they saw it, an enemy war beast, 12 feet tall, plated in organic armor, marching through the jungle with a squad of drones. They're hunting the ruins, Tellez said. And they know this place is no longer dead. Caden turned to Vira. Can we fight it? Vera shook her head. Not with what we have, Lissari spoke up. There may be one last answer. The lower core chamber. The Guardian's heart. If the bond is ready, it will open for you both. Caden didn't ask how she knew. He just nodded and grabbed the staff. Vera followed without a word. The path was deep. Older than the rest of the ruin. The walls pulsed gently, and the air buzzed like a whispering storm. At the end of the tunnel was a large sealed door, covered in markings Caden couldn't read. Vera placed her hand on the left side. Only bonded can open it, she sighed. Caden stepped beside her and placed his hand on the right. The door trembled, then opened. Inside was a chamber filled with light and ancient echoes. A giant sphere floated in the center, humming with energy. The Guardian's true core. It reacted instantly to their presence, glowing brighter with each step. Now what? Caden asked. Vera turned to him. Now we offer our truth. She took his hand and pressed it to her heart. I am yours, in this bond, in this battle, in this world. Caden did the same. I trust you, I stand with you. I choose this bond. The sphere flashed white and sent out a wave of light. The entire ruin lit up. In the upper chamber, Lissari and Tellez shielded their eyes. Outside, the war beast paused as the ground rumbled. From the heart of the ruins, a shield rose like a dome of energy, protecting everything inside. Caden and Vera stood at the center, now marked with new glowing lines across their arms and necks. The Guardian's voice, soft, feminine, ancient, spoke from all directions. The bond is complete. Protector and warrior. One pulse, one path. Caden exhaled slowly. Vera stepped closer. We're not just hiding anymore. We're part of something the enemy can't touch. Back in the chamber that night, Caden lay beside Vera as the Guardian hummed gently. He didn't feel like a guest anymore. He felt like a part of the ruins, the bond, and her. And he knew, without question, that everything was building toward a final moment of choice. Asterisk, the shield held for one full day. Inside the glowing barrier, the ruins pulsed like a living heart. Caden and Vira moved as one now. Even the Guardian responded to their bond without needing words. When Caden touched the altar, the ruins answered. When Vera whispered her thoughts, the walls lit like stars. But outside the dome, the enemy was preparing to strike again. Through the crystal screens, they watched the war beast pace in circles. More drones arrived, hovering, scanning, waiting. One of them carried a signal disruptor, glowing with dark energy. Lasari studied it with worry. They mean to collapse the shield. When it falls, they'll rush in and destroy everything. Tellus adjusted his armor, still weak but determined. Then we fight when it drops, but we'll need more than blades. Caden turned to the Guardian Corps. You said we're protectors now. Then help us protect. The Guardian's voice echoed softly. Your bond opened the heart. But to wield its full power, you must stand outside, together. Vera stepped forward without hesitation. We'll do it. Caden didn't flinch. We don't run. Lasari tried to stop them. If you both go out there, the core might collapse. Vera shook her head. Then it collapses with meaning. The shield dimmed slowly, piece by piece. As it fell, Caden and Vera walked out of the sanctuary hand in hand. The drones spotted them instantly. The war beast let out a mechanical growl. The jungle air turned sharp with tension. But Caden didn't stop. He raised the relic staff, now pulsing with power from the Guardian. Vera stood beside him, her blade shining with the same energy. The enemy charged. The drones fired. But the energy from Caden's staff split the blasts in the air. Vera moved with speed Caden had never seen before, her strikes glowing brighter with each movement. They fought not like two people, but like one being with two bodies. The war beast lunged, but Caden leaped forward and struck its head with the full power of the relic. The explosion sent shockwaves across the valley. Trees bent, stone cracked. The ruins behind them lit up like a star. The drones paused. For the first time, they hesitated. Then the Guardian spoke again, this time through every speaker in the ruins and every device still operating. This sanctuary is claimed. Leave now or be undone. The remaining drones turned and vanished into the jungle. The war beast's shell cracked open, smoke rising. Vera stood over it, panting. Caden dropped to one knee, catching his breath. Did we win? He asked. Vera looked at the silent battlefield. We survived, and we made them fear. Lasari and Tellus rushed out from the ruins, eyes wide. They're gone, Lasari whispered. You turned the Guardian into a weapon, Caden smiled weakly. No, we turned the bond into a shield. The ruins calmed. The Guardian's light softened. The air returned to its usual warm pulse. For the next 2 days they rebuilt what had been damaged. Lasari activated the long-range beacon. Tellus used the ruins' power to patch a message to the trail fleet. And Caden helped Vera install new defenses that no scanner could see. When the rescue arrived, it wasn't a ship, it was a fleet. High above the jungle, glowing trail vessels descended like silver birds. Warriors and nobles stepped out, expecting destruction. Instead, they found peace. The ruins were intact. The people were alive. And in the center stood a human boy holding hands with a trail warrior. An elder stepped forward and examined Caden. You are not trail, and yet the ruins sing for you. Caden nodded once. I didn't plan it, I just stayed. The elder looked at Vera. And you claim him fully? Vera didn't hesitate. I claimed him the night he stayed close. Even when afraid. The elder smiled. Then the bond is true. And rare. As reward, Caden was offered a place among the trail as a bonded protector. Not just honorary, but family. Lasari returned to her studies with joy, now regarded as the one who decoded prophecy. Tellus was carried home with respect. And Vera was granted the title of Sentinel One who walks between future and past. With her bonded at her side, their final night in the ruins was quiet. No war sounds, no alarms. Just the heartbeat of the sanctuary around them. Vera sat beside Caden near the altar, watching the soft glow of the walls. "When you first came here," she said, "I thought you were soft." Caden chuckled. "I was." Vera turned to him. "Now you're more. You're part of our story." Caden lay back on the silk mat, pulling Vera down with him. They no longer needed the warmth for survival. But they stayed close anyway, because this time the bond wasn't tradition. It was choice, it was trust. It was the kind of closeness no war could ever break. And in the ancient chamber of stone and stars, the guardian pulsed once more, not for protection, but in peace.